The Galactic Empire had stretched its shadow across 100 systems, crushing rebellions, bending species to its will, and claiming absolute power over the known stars. For centuries, it had been the unchallenged titan of the cosmos, a force of discipline, fear, and merciless order. So when the Empire sent its emissaries to the small remote system called Sol, they expected no resistance. They expected submission. They expected obedience. What they found instead was laughter. Admiral Valen of the Empire's fleet was first to step onto the surface of Earth's blue-green world. His grand ship, the Dominion, hovered over a sprawling human city, lights blinking, and screens glowing. His guards flanked him, weapons ready, armor polished. A delegation of humans awaited. Not military generals, not diplomats with endless decorum, just a group of engineers, scientists, and farmers. They wore no ceremonial robes, no rank badges, just practical clothes stained by work and life. Valen sneered, "We come to bring order, to demand loyalty. Your planet is now part of the Empire." One of the humans, a woman with streaks of gray in her hair and eyes sharp as steel, smiled. "You must be joking." Valen's voice rose. "We do not joke. You will submit or face destruction." The woman shrugged. "You don't scare us." The other humans laughed. It was not the frightened, nervous laugh of the weak. It was the laughter of people who had endured worse and lived. Valen's fury turned to disbelief. "Who are you to defy the Empire?" The woman's eyes narrowed. "We are human." The Galactic Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds, but Earth was different. It was young in the cosmic timeline, barely a blink compared to the ancient star. Empires. Yet it had qualities the Empire had forgotten or never understood. It had resilience. It had chaos. It had humor. Back on the Dominion, Valen ordered a demonstration of power. His fleet would blockade Earth's orbit, forcing surrender. Instead, human ships poured from hidden docks, cargo vessels, mining barges, even repurposed fishing trawlers, armed not with elegant weapons, but with creativity. They didn't just fight. They adapted. They turned old ships into decoys. They rigged improvised mines and asteroid belts. They hacked the Empire's communications with jokes, memes, and riddles that frustrated the officers. When the Empire deployed its elite shock troops to seize the cities, they found streets defended not by tanks but by people with nothing more than determination and tools cobbled from everyday life. Farmers wielded modified harvesters as battering rams. Engineers set traps in sewers. School teachers led civilians in coordinated resistance drills. Valen watched in horror as his forces were bogged down by what he called primitive nonsense. The humans did not fight with the grace or order the Empire expected. They fought with laughter, ingenuity, and endless stubbornness. When the Empire's superweapon fired on a human settlement, it survived. When a blockade tried to starve them, out they grew food in abandoned stations and rigged supply chains no spy could track. When captured, they refused to break, telling stories and jokes even in the darkest cells. Valen's pride was shattered. One night, in the captain's quarters of the Dominion, he confronted the woman who had led the initial delegation. "I do not understand," he said. "Your people are disorganized, chaotic, and reckless, yet you have not fallen." She smiled gently. "We survive because we do not rely on fear or control. We rely on each other, on hope, and sometimes on laughter." Valen's eyes narrowed. "But you are weak." She shook her head. "No, we are young, yes, but strength isn't only muscle and firepower, it's in the refusal to bow." "Then why do you laugh?" he demanded. "Because laughter reminds us that no matter the darkness, we are still alive. It's the sound of defiance, and it's contagious." Valen scoffed. "Your laughter will not save you." She stood and stepped closer. "Maybe not, but it will make you lose." Over months, the Empire's grip loosened. Planets that once cowered began to whisper of rebellion. And Earth? It became a symbol, not because it had the biggest fleet or the deadliest weapons, because it refused to be crushed. Because when the mightiest empire confronted them, humans could only laugh. Years later, the Empire's archives recorded the battle, Of Seoul as a turning point, not for its casualties or conquests, but for its lesson. A lesson that echoed across the stars. Strength is not only power. Strength is spirit. Strength is laughter in the face of doom. And no empire, no matter how vast, can silence that. The last message sent by Admiral Valen before retreating from the system was brief and telling. Earth fights with madness. The reply came days later from a human commander, broadcast across the void. Maybe. But madness is better than fear. And so the galaxy changed. The Empire learned to respect the unpredictable, the stubborn, and the spirited. And humanity, young and unyielding, continued to laugh, knowing some things were worth fighting for, and some things were simply worth smiling about.